Hey everybody, and how are you guys doing today? I hope you guys are having a fall fabulous type of day today. Thank you so much for clicking and joining. I really do appreciate it. If you're new here, my name is Gabe and this is GabeLuvsMakeup, and I'm a 52 makeup artist, and I've been in the industry 30 plus years. And yeah, I'm still in the retail field. I help customers just like you with skincare, makeup, and fragrance needs every single day. And with that said, guys, today we have a very exciting little challenge against each other. We have the Lancome Care and Glow Concealer, which is brand new to the market. It actually launches on September 15th, but it is up on the Dillard's and Ulta website. But this one is going up against the brand new Haus by Lady Gaga, which actually was just released in Sephora this past week. I have been wearing these for the last 2 days, and I have a lot of thoughts and a lot of comparisons with the both of them. So if you're interested in my thoughts and what I think about these concealers, then stick around and let's do it together. Let you guys know, I do have on, I did put on a little bit of my Girl On primer. I put on a primer, and we also did a little bit of foundation. If you guys saw my Make My Own foundation, that is the one that I have on today, which I really enjoyed. This foundation is really good. So I put it on today because I didn't want anything. I just have a big mix of all kinds of foundations in that one. So I didn't have one that was actually just one or the other, like a Lancome makeup against, you know, I wanted it to be very fair. Yeah, I did have a little bit of this City Gloss lipstick. Where did I put it? Oh, here it is. This is the City Lips Lip Plumping. I had this one on in, was it in the last video or the video before? I just had it on while I was doing my eye makeup or whatever. And this is in the shade Crimson. And y'all, this is a great fall color. I'm telling you, if you've ever tried the City Lip Glosses, they're really good. So just so happens, I do have affiliate links, so, you know, and just let you guys know, I do have links on these down below, and they are affiliated. So when you do click on them, it doesn't cost you anything, but it does give me a little small commission because, and this one actually I have a code with. So I think it's GabeLuv10, and you can save 10%, as well as, you know, helping me out just a little bit or helping out the channel. Because basically any of this kind of like, if I get any commission or anything off of YouTube or whatever, it just helps to go back into the channel again. So I don't use it on bills or anything else that's basically used for the channel. So if you do click on those, I really do appreciate that, because that really does help me a lot, especially being a small channel. So, but anyway, that's what this is here. And yeah, and I have on some mascara, and that's about all we have on. So let's dive in and get this party started. So here, guys, this is the Lancome. This is the Serum Concealer, the Care and Glow Serum Concealer. This is what the actual product looks like. I got this in PR, so I did get this just recently this past week, as well as the brand new Haus Labs Concealer. So this is the new Haus Labs by Lady Gaga. It's actually is really, both of them are really unique. This one I think has 0.43 ounces, I believe. This one's 0.43 ounces. This one is actually a 0.24. The Lancome is $29, and the Haus Labs is actually $32. So she's just a little bit more with a little bit less product, and Lancome has a little bit more. It's just maybe $2 or $3 less. So let's just compare the doe fits. So I'm going to take out the doe fit in both of them so you can see it. So this is what the doe fit looks like. This is the Lancome. The Lancome has an actual, it looks kind of, I'm trying to find a little place where you guys can kind of see it, but it's very unique. It's kind of like almost like a little teardrop, but it's really curved in. It's really unique. It's got a really sharp little edge for really precise little areas. And then this is the Haus Labs. So it looks just like this. And she's a little bit thicker, a little bit wider, a little bit more of a wider paddle. You know, I will say this much, the Lancome has, it does come out a little easier in the Lancome, by the way, just to throw that out there. And the Haus Labs, I'm going to show you. So this is what I've used this, maybe, I've been using it like maybe 3 times so far, because I've been testing it out already for you guys. But just to show you guys, so when you push it in, you got to push it in there, but then when you got to pull it out, because it's supposed to grab the excess concealer off of it. but you can already see that it's already kind of starting to make a little bit of a mess around the edges because you have to really push it to get it back in there, and then there's a lot around the edges, so just be careful of that, whereas the Lancome, it does not do that. It comes out really easy, very simple. You can put it back in very easy. It's not really difficult or really hard. The Lancome, I have it in the shade 220C is the one that I got sent. And then this one is the 22 light medium peach. And so they're a little bit different undertone. This one's a cooler undertone. This one's a little bit of a peach undertone, which does kind of make a little bit of a difference. But then after they're kind of blended, it's really not too much of a difference. So just a disclaimer, guys, before we get started, I do work for Lancome Cosmetics, and this is not affiliated. I'm not getting paid by Lancome to do this video or whatever. I just happened to get this and as a free PR, and so I'm very happy with that. And I'm just real excited about it, but it is not, this video is not paid or sponsored or paid for. And I'm going to give you guys my honest opinion about it. You know, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't, because I've also done that with Dior, because I also work a little part-time work with them here and there. And I've given you guys my honest opinions about the Dior as well. Let's do the Haus Lab on this side. So we're going to do her on the left side. And just to let you guys know, so it's clean at Sephora, it's vegan, it's a natural finish, it's hydrating, it's supposed to be good for acne blemishes and good for dark circles. It is a long-wearing, non-comedogenic concealer that does more than cover. It blurs, depuffs, brightens, conceals with a medium buildable coverage. It's medium natural liquid, niacinamide fermented arnica hyaluronic acid complex. It's free of all the stuff, mica, all that good stuff or whatever. I'll put it up here on the screen so you guys can see it. This one reminds me a little bit of the Makeup by Mario, because I felt the Makeup by Mario in store. I played with it a little bit. They have little similarities in a way. They're not completely, but actually both of these concealers are not the same, which you'll see in a little bit, but have some of the same similar ingredients and that kind of sort of stuff. So just keeping that out there fair as well. But I do feel like this one is a little bit more similar to the Makeup by Mario, and it's a little more similar to like the foundation actually. So anyway, so I'm gonna go ahead and pull this out. I'm going to take just a tad bit. Normally, I do this on the back of my hand. I normally don't do it. I do it with a brush. I don't normally do it with the doe fit. But I just wanted to show you guys the doe fit so you guys could see where I place it. I'm going to try to keep it even more on this side, so that way you can see it a little bit more. I'm trying to keep that more in the center, because you don't need a lot of this concealer, to be honest. I think we've got that pretty good. It does dry down pretty good. Like it dries down. It starts off kind of a little bit more on the dewy side, just like the foundation. And then it dries into a little bit of, not a matte, but it's just got more of a natural finish, or it does to me, or I feel like it does. Let me try to look in here where I can kind of see what I'm doing, because sometimes in the camera I don't always see what I'm doing. But see how the coverage, it builds up pretty quickly. It feels really lightweight. It's not heavy at all. And I love the foundation. If you guys don't know, the foundation is still one of my favorite foundations of last year. I still enjoy it. I still use it all the time. I get a lot of compliments on the foundation. It's really beautiful. I have no eyeshadow base on it either, by the way, so I'm just taking it up around my eyes just to even that out a little bit more. But look how beautiful that looks. It is a really beautiful look, and it looks gorgeous on. But now look how beautiful that looks. It's really pretty. And it dries really beautifully. You can use it with powder if you want. I have set this with just a regular translucent powder. I've also set it with my pink powder. I've set both of these with powder, and it works beautiful with powder. I will say, because I'm 52 years old, bleh, I can't even get it out. I'm 52 years old. I do have very, very, very dry skin. So my skin just absorbs stuff. So with this concealer, I was a little worried about it being like the Makeup by Mario, because I did not purchase that concealer, because I immediately put it on the back of my hand and I was like, oh my God, this is not going to work. But I did compare it to Haus while I was in Sephora, and this one is creamier. It does feel a little creamier to me, and it does feel a little bit more hydrating than the Makeup by Mario, because the dry down on the Makeup by Mario is a little bit more, not dry, but it's just got more of like a natural finish, I think. I know there's a lot of mixed results about that out there. So, I mean, quote me, I do not have that concealer. I've only played with it in store. I've not really tried, so I can't really, give 100% about the Makeup by Mario, but the feel and what I kind of felt whenever I was playing with the concealers in Sephora, that's kind of like what my feeling was. But you can build this up a little bit. What I would say though, I'm gonna take just a tad bit more right here where I have that little bit of that puffiness. It does help with the puffiness. It does make it look a little bit less. So because it's got a lot of claims about the puffiness and the depuffing and all that kind of stuff. But it does have that, and it does give a good coverage. So if you want a good medium, I wouldn't say full. It's not completely full, like maybe like Anastasia, or it's a little bit more along the lines of maybe my Huda Beauty. It's a little bit more along the lines of that one. I think it's got that kind of coverage. It does build nicely. I wouldn't go bananas with it though, because it can, like for dry eyes. Now I'm not saying if you're oily, it might be okay if you're oily, but if you're dry like me, and you have like a mature eye, you just have to be careful with it. A little bit less is better. But it is really beautiful. And you're gonna see in a minute the differences between the concealers, but it's a really beautiful, and I really like this color. I mean, I got a peach. I couldn't find a cool color that I liked because I was trying to find something a little bit closer to this one in it so I could really compare it. But when you see them side by side, they're really it's not that much different. This one may be a tad bit brighter because it's a little bit cooler, but it is a really beautiful concealer. So now let's dive into the Lancome one. Okay, so I cleaned my brush. But before I dive into just before we get into the Lancome one, I just wanted to give you guys something. So I actually have my Lancome book with me. So instead of actually going on and using some of the notes from, Ulta or Sephora or Lancome.com, I actually have my Lancome book with me. So, so this is the Serum Infused Concealer. It hydrates, smooths, brightens, medium buildable coverage for a natural glow soft finish. It's a 12-hour hydration. It also has, it has 24 shades. It brightens and it blurs. You can use it as spot correct, all over coverage, conceal. It has 81% serum base. It's hyaluronic acid, peptides, and ceramides. Yeah, just very, very similarities to just to the Haus Labs. Oh, and by the way, I forgot to mention in Haus Labs, I want to say that it's 30. I think there's 30 some shades. I think 35 or 32. I'll put it up here on the screen because I forgot. I can't remember. But in the Lancome, there's 24. And this is just a little bit of the diagram of what it looks like. And I also have some pictures up here to show you guys. You can just see a little bit of the comparison. But it does have some really good shades. And I've also worked on this with customers over the weekend. So I played with it a little bit in advance with some customers to actually get some feedback on it to see how really it looked on people. Now that is the one unfair advantage that I don't have with the Haus Lab. So I'm really sorry about that because I didn't get to actually play with this one on customers, but this one I have. So I have a little bit of a feeling with it too. But again, this is kind of like we're gonna do it a little bit with the doe foot, just like we did with the other one. And I've already cleaned my brush. So I'm gonna take it a little bit similar to this one. Now, this one, it says it is a medium coverage. I would probably disagree with this one and say that she's a little bit more of a light medium coverage. So this one is buildable as well, but it goes on really serum-like. So it's very, very light when you first put it on, but you can definitely build it up. But to me, it looks really pretty without building it up too much, but you can build it up because I did that on customers and it did a really good job. Now on me, I normally don't do a ton of concealer. I just do enough to kind of, just kind of even things out or what a little bit. But you guys can see. And I wanted, they sent me this lighter shade and my skin's a little bit darker, but I don't mind I don't mind a little brighter concealer because I go back over it with bronzer and everything anyway. So it's perfectly fine. So I don't mind that at all. But now see, this is one coat. But you can see it's like, this one looks a little bit more glowy already. So you can see that it's a little bit more radiant because it's just a different type of texture. And you know, I'm so sorry, I jumped ahead of myself, guys. So I didn't even like do this. I should have done this earlier, and I'm so sorry. I'm like all over the place. I don't have notes, or like I try to do all this off the top of my head. So sometimes I should probably have notes, but I don't always have notes. So, and you know, I'm working a 12-day work week this week, so I have no days off. So I'm trying to get some of these videos out to you guys, and it's really hard because I'm just doing it whenever I can squeeze it in. But this is what, so this is what we're looking at. So this is the Haus Labs at the top, and I'm gonna spread this out a little bit more. This is the Lancome. So you can see the Haus Labs looks a little bit thicker, and the Lancome looks just thinner. You can immediately see it's more serum infused, like, where the Haus Labs look a little bit more. It's also, you know, infused with serum and good ingredients as well. It's just a little bit more of a thickness to it. And then the dry down on it is different too. So once they both dry down a little bit, it's like once that dries down a little bit, you can see it. The Haus Labs looks a little bit more, it starts to kind of more of like a natural finish. The Lancome has that glow, so you can see a glow in it. So it definitely, again, it's a little bit more like the makeup, because the makeup is like that too. It starts off one way, but it has a little bit more of a natural finish, but it has like this underglow to it. This is actually a little bit glowier than the makeup, but the similarities are there, just like the Haus Labs with their foundation. This is the Lancome is a little similar to their the Care and Glow foundation as well. But it's really pretty. But see, it's got this little bit more of a glow. Now, there's not as much coverage. Where this one did more coverage immediately, this one is a little bit more lighter. So let me go back in a little bit just to make it fair, because we did a little bit more with the other one. And if you guys were a fan of the Lancome Maki Complete Concealer, which also had a wand, and Lancome discontinued it a couple years ago, I'd probably say it was discontinued like in 2019 or maybe 2018. This one is very identical to that one. It's just like that kind of it's got that kind of a feeling. It's got a little bit more dewiness to it. So if you don't like the Untitled Ultra Wear or the Untitled Ultra Wear, which is a little bit more of a medium to a full coverage, but it's got more of a matte finish, you may like this one a little bit better. But see how pretty it is. Like both of them side by side, they're still really pretty concealers. It's just one is just a little bit more glowier, and one has just a little bit more, just a tad bit more. It's got a little bit more coverage, but you can see it's just a little bit more of a natural kind of a finish. It's not really a super matte, but it's got a little bit of a natural finish. So what I'm going to tell you is if you set them with powder, this one, because it's got a little glow to it, when you set it with powder, it doesn't like crinkle or make you look really like tired or anything like that. It does, a little powder actually is really good with this one. If you powder this one, it does make it look, now this is with the dry eye, remember. So if you're, and I'm talking to older eye here, if you're younger, it may be fine. But with powder on this side, because it already has a little bit of that built-in powder with it, it dries down eventually. You have to be careful with powder, because sometimes it can make it look a little too, not cakey. I get cakey is the word, because it does look a little bit more cakey. It looks a little bit more, it's a little drier, more drier looking. But without powder, it does really beautiful on its own. I mean, I think it's still a really beautiful concealer. It's just looks really pretty. So yeah, both of them they look great. I mean, when you look at them side by side, you can't really tell the difference. The Lancome looks maybe a tad bit brighter, because this one, remember, this one has more of a peach undertone. This one has more of a cool undertone. So, but other than that, that's the only really difference between the two as far as color goes. And again, I don't wear a ton of concealer, so if you guys like a lot of coverage, the Lancome definitely is not going to be for you, because it's not going to give you a lot of coverage. It's going to give you more of that light to medium, a little bit of a buildable But if you're a little bit more of a mature eye and you're having problems with concealer and some of them really do bunch and crunch on you, that may be a possibility. But now if you like a little bit more of a medium to a full concealer and you like a little bit more of a set concealer, because this one sets, it still has a little, right now it has a little tack still. But now this one doesn't feel tacky at all to me. I mean, it doesn't feel tacky at all, and I've not even done powder over it or anything. But yeah, so now let's head over to my final thoughts, and I'll give you guys a little bit more on the poll that I did for the last 2 days and see what everybody's opinions were. And then we will go further into my thoughts on that. Okay, guys, so now we are ready for my final thoughts, but let's go into my 2-day little test that I did. So on one day, I put the Haus Labs on this eye, and I put the Doll on this side, or the Care and Glow on this side. And I wore it all day long. It was a 16-hour day. I did powder them a little bit, just to, you know, because that's what I normally do a little bit. Sometimes it's just powder a little bit, especially my Natasha Denona, which is my favorite so far this year. I normally do that whenever I put it on, just to give it a little, you know, just a little something to keep it on all day long. So with that said, I had probably almost, that day, I would say out of the 10 people, because each day I had 10 people look at it. So I asked everybody all day long, I said, do you see a difference? I mean, I've got 2 different concealers on. They basically, you know, I didn't tell them which eye it was, and the actual Lancome side one, because they felt like it was a little bit brighter. They felt like it was a little bit more dewier, even though I still powdered it a little bit. It just seemed to look a little bit more lifted. They felt like this one looked, by the end of the day, looked a little bit more drier. On the other hand, at the end of the day, I really, I did notice this one was a little bit more glowier, where this one was a little bit more set, and then the, you know, and I was like, oh, okay, but it didn't look bad. So it didn't look crinkly, or it didn't look old, or it didn't make me look really tired or anything like that. And they both held up really well all day long. And I sweated all day too. I was working that day. I was really doing a lot of maintenance and a lot of stock and a lot of things like that. And I was running around all over the place. So I did about, I think it was 16,000 steps that day. So I mean, I had a long day that day. So the next day I did it again, but I flip-flopped it. So I did the Lancome on one eye and I did the Haus Labs on the other. So again, I asked 10 people throughout the day. I did not powder that day, because I wanted to try it without powder. So I wanted to see if that made a difference, because we had powdered the day before and I wanted to give the Haus Labs a little bit more of an opportunity. So I just did it. I did a total something different. I just didn't do powder. So those, again, about 90% of the people preferred the Lancome side, because they kept pointing to this side. So it wasn't that they didn't like this side. They just felt like the Lancome was a little brighter, a little dewier. It made me look a little bit more lifted. And again, that may have something to do with a little bit of the color. It could be a little bit of, because one is a little cooler and one is a little bit more warmer. But they just felt it wasn't as dry, because they felt like the other one looked a little bit drier. So again, that one was a 10-hour day. You know, they both stayed on really, really well. I came home, I looked at both of them, because, you know, when I'm at work, I don't really pay attention to anything. I put it on one time and that's it. I don't pay attention to it again until I come home. So when I came home, they both still looked really good. I looked still rested as far as I was concerned in both eyes. The Lancome side was a little bit more dewier again. The Haus Labs was a little bit more of that. It still had a little bit more of a natural kind of a finish to it. So it wasn't as dewy as the other side. And most of everybody that knows me knows that I love dew and I love glow and all that kind of good stuff. So if I have anything matte on, they immediately automatically know. But as far as they're concerned, I didn't tell them which concealer was which. But yeah, personally, guys, I personally think they're both really good concealers. They're just totally, in ways similar, in ways they're opposite. The Lancome is just more of a light medium to maybe a possible medium coverage. It's just more glowy. It's a little bit more fresh. It's very serum-like. The Haus Labs is more coverage. She's definitely more of that medium coverage. You might get a light out of it. I'm sure you could probably even build it up to a full, because it can build up really well. You know, this one just has a little bit more to me. It has a little bit of a glow, but again, it still dries down to a little bit more of a natural finish. You don't have to set this one with powder if you don't want to. I think it kind of self-sets itself. This one, if you want just a little bit, not to be too dewy under your eye, you will need to set it a little bit, but it does stay on all day as well as this one. They both stay on really well. They both performed well all day long. I still, you know, even though most people still kind of prefer this one, on me, they still said that both of them looked really great. It was really hard for them sometimes to even decide on an eye. So just keep that in mind. I mean, you know, because that's just, you know, when you ask people, they just, you know, they just kind of see what they see. But I really like them both. When I first picked this up or played with it and I got it and I was swatching it on the back of my hand, I did not like it at all, because I was like, immediately it was gonna be like, oh my gosh, one of those serum concealers is gonna be dry like the Born This Way, the ethereal, and I did not like that, and I was afraid that was what was gonna happen with this one. I was not gonna like it. I was already determined, oh my god, already I don't like it. It's gonna be like the Dior, the Backstage, because that one didn't work for me either. And I was just going, oh my god, I'm a little disappointed already. So I was really scared to wear this one, because I was afraid this one was the one that was going to look really, really dry. And this one was the one that was going to look, because when I swatched this one, it seemed really beautiful in store. And then when I compared it to the Makeup by Mario, I was like, I'm definitely so glad I did not purchase that one, that I bought this one instead. So with that said, guys, I will leave the opinion up to you and what you guys think. You know, you will have to let me know if you are interested in either one of these concealers. If you have tried either one of these concealers, are you going to pick up either one of these concealers? Are you even interested in a concealer? Because at this point, I think we've been concealered to death. Gucci just launched one too. So, I mean, you know, it's just like, it's always a new concealer or something going on. But I have to say that you won't go wrong with either one of them. It's just one is a little bit more lightweight, very serumy, just very fresh. And if you want a very light coverage, light medium coverage, maybe a medium possibility, this one would be great. But if you want a little more coverage immediately, you don't have to want to worry about powdering. You don't want to worry about like having to add too much powder to it, or you don't want to have to build too much with it, where this one you may have to, and you don't like a lot of glow underneath your eye area. This one would be the better one to choose from, I think. But again, they both have beautiful ingredients in it. They both feel really amazing underneath the eye area. I really haven't had a problem with either one of them. I don't know if either one of these are going to take the place of my Natasha Denona though, because I truly, truly love that concealer this year. But we'll keep playing with them and see what we think. You know, I will keep using this on customers, because so far customers are really enjoying this one. Unfortunately, that is the disadvantage of the Haus lab, because I wasn't able to use this on customers over the weekend. But, you know, maybe in the future I will. If I'm in Sephora and I get to play with it a little bit more, it might be a possibility. But with that said, guys, so much for joining. I really do appreciate it. Thank you guys for being here. I really do appreciate that as well. And make sure you subscribe and like this video if you did like it, if you have stayed this long. If you don't like this video, then, you know, I just don't know what to say to you. I just don't. Because, I mean, this face, you can see this face regularly. You know, why wouldn't you want to? And I know there's like at least 80% of you that have not subscribed, but you watch. Oh yes, I see. And you've not yet clicked that button yet. And you know, you should reach out and touch the bell, touch the like button, touch the subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything. It's super easy, I promise. And it doesn't hurt either. It doesn't hurt. It's not, you know, it's not painful. None of that. It's just painful. You gotta look at this all the time. But anyway, thank you guys so much. Be safe, be proud, stand tall, love yourself. Remember to love somebody today, because life is way, way too short. Remember to be kind to somebody today, because kindness can take you off a long way. I love you guys so much. Have a good rest of your day, and we will see you again in the next video. Take care. Bye.